Speaks to talk with you about why we resist the deep healing work. Yesterday I had an emotions clearing session with one of my clients, and she is also a healing practitioner. And we were talking about it at the end of her session, where we said, okay, so why are people resisting the deep healing? I always say to people that every one of us, every one of you is capable of releasing trapped emotions on a daily basis. Literally, all you have to do is muscle test, ask yourself, do I have a trapped emotion I can release right now? Yes. Find out where it's at and set the intention to release it. In my case, I always say, in the name of the Holy Spirit, I release this trapped emotion. It's that simple. You don't have to hire someone for that. You don't have to get certified for that. You have that healing, you have that possibility. You can do that on your own. There's no secret about it. I'm not going to try you to sell into it. I'm like, you can't do that. Like, you can do that yourself. The only thing that is required is belief and trust and an understanding that you're capable, that we are capable of healing ourselves through thought, through intention, and through the help through divine help, through the power of the Holy Spirit in my case. Whatever you choose for yourself. I'm not going to tell you that. What that should be, but that's what it is for me, right? So then why are we resisting so much? Then why do we need people to help us heal through some of the things? Because, well, if we're not fully in surrendering mode, we may trick ourselves into, do I have another trapped emotion I can release now? No. Okay, I'm done. Yes, I'm done. I don't have to heal anything anymore, right? Easy, especially if something is coming up in your body where you're not quite sure what it is. It could show up as anger. It could show up as anxiety, where your body is saying, hey, I think we're ready to release that. And you're like, no, we're not doing that. We're not. Let me muscle test. Let me make sure that I'm right. Like, while we're battling the head and the heart conversation, it usually doesn't get us any further. And we are capable, especially to trapped emotions, there are always different layers to it. And there are some that are more easily released because we're really ready. Like, it's almost like they're overdue. Just get it out there, right? And then there are really deeper ones that are related often to some kind of trauma, if it's abuse, if it's anything that had been said in your within your childhood, or for me it was what was it for me? Within my childhood, I think it was related to abandonment, not feeling acknowledged from a teacher. That sat really deep within me. That carried a lot, and I carried that throughout many, many, many years until I hired someone to work with me through that and on that. So it is not a secret that you're able to release some of that yourself, that you can do some of the healing work yourself. But how often do we think about healing? Do we think about, if I just heal that, what would be possible? If I can just let this go, what would be possible? But often we're not just thinking about what would be possible, but we're thinking about what would we lose? And if we're really honest, if I were to do that, what would change? What would I potentially lose? In some cases, it could be the fear of losing your spouse. If you change, if you really discover who you are through the healing process, or it might be good friends that you suddenly lose because you show up differently. Or it could be that if I do this work, then I know exactly that I actually would have to leave that job. But what would that mean? Maybe financial insecurities or financial pressure. We're usually focused not on what is the opportunity, but what would I lose if I were to do that for myself? I started reading the book Why do I constantly forget the title of that book? The Disappearance of the Universe. And I started reading it, and a few chapters in, I called my one of my coaches, or one of my friends who is also a coach, but she helps me through some of the other things too. And I said, I can't finish reading this book. Like, it shatters my Christian biblical, like it shatters a lot of the beliefs that I had set on and that our marriage is based on as well. And so I can't read that, or something is going to happen. And so while I was talking to her, she's like, continue reading, because it's really not that different than the beliefs that you've already had before, just in different words, and therefore it sounds differently. And you don't have to express every little change within you to your spouse. Just because you shift doesn't mean you lose something or someone. It might just mean that you inspire something or someone to shift with you. And I think that perspective shifted for me a lot when she said that, because I finished reading the book and it's incredible. It made so much more clear in how I talk already and have over the last years. It just made more sense to me in the way I grew up in church and how I understand some of the things that have been said in the Bible and all those different things, right? And that also came with having to release a lot of trapped emotions that were related to some of those old beliefs and those old patterns. And I realized how sometimes when I sat there or when I asked someone to support me through this, how the fear and the anxiety started to creep up. Like, what happens if I release this? What is going to shift in the universe? What is going to happen? And I think we're much more afraid of losing something that we think keeps us safe, that we think is what we are used to at this point, that helps us to experience the world in a specific way that we choose to experience it, instead of looking at what is really possible. In coaching, we always ask this question, what is possible? And then clients respond, this and this and this is possible. Then they are all excited. And then the next moment, I'm like, but, when in reality, all of it can go hand in hand. We don't have to lose. We always gain. Always gain, no matter what that looks like. But the losing experience comes from being attached to our current experience, to what we have now, to who we are with now, being attached to the physical, to what we have here, instead of embracing the spiritual, the soul, the spirit experience of this world. And that keeps a lot of people, my client said that she had someone laying on her table, and she said, I think I can't continue doing that, because if I do, I already see how a lot of the things that I had thought before are shifting and how I feel differently. I'm afraid to lose my husband if I continue. And I said, yeah, I made similar experiences with clients, with potential clients. If I really go through this transformation, will I still be seen? Will all the struggle that I have gone through so far still be worth it? Would it have been worth it to go through all the struggle if now suddenly I created a shift where I know I could let go of all of that? We want to keep that as a point of accomplishment. But I have accomplished so much. If I let this go, can I still use that? Can I still acknowledge that? Can I still accomplishment assign to that struggle? So there's so many different factors that play into the deep healing and why we resist deep healing. And I am not any different in that. If you ask my very first coach, he always said, you're so stubborn. You could have everything already in such a short amount of time if you were just be open to that shift. And then I would respond to him, but I have gone through so much in life already. I don't think I'm ready to go through even more or experience more struggle. But with the deep healing and the transformation like this, a struggle turns into a challenge. And I just posted it in another group where the guy was challenging me with it. And I said, a struggle is often related to control. A challenge is often related to surrender. Because within a challenge, we know we can take it. We can somehow figure it out, like my son always said. It's not getting easier, it's just getting funner, right? Not getting easier, it's just getting funner. It's a challenge. A struggle is rather always hitting a wall, thinking that eventually I'll break through that wall, and eventually I'll make it above and crawl on top of it. But we kind of like the struggle. It also goes with the article that I wrote, Will You Care About Me If I Am Well? A lot of us hold on to physical illnesses because that's how people know us. That's how we can identify with the world. That is our story. The struggle becomes our identity. And so why would we heal that? Because then we would have to recreate our identity if we were to actually focus on deep, true healing. And that takes a lot of courage. That takes a lot of surrendering, and it takes a lot of trust. And many people, I almost even want to assume, right, making ass of you and me, but I want to assume that probably about 80 to 90% of the global population struggle with that, literally. That's why they resist the deep healing, because then new things would open up that we may not know how to deal with, or that we don't know what to do with. It's that trust issue. Trust, courage, and what was the other one? Surrender. Trust, courage, surrender is what leads to deep resistance. Deep healing, sorry, not resistance. If you see someone, or if you wonder if you're actually in this field as a healer, as a light worker, and you may feel challenged in your business, just know that a lot of people want to. They really, really want to, but the desire to heal is not as big as the desire or the fear of what they may lose if they were to focus on that kind of healing. And that's a battle in and of itself. I know it for myself, I know it with my clients. And I'm hoping that more and more people will be open to the healing part. And often we are being confronted with such deep pain and wounding that could, again, be generational wounding. More and more people talk about that as well. That may not have anything to do with you, or something that you have taken on from someone, where you watched someone getting hurt or getting abused, where you watched someone go through a deep struggle of a real bad struggle of illness, maybe. And you will have to reflect on that as well. Maybe you lost someone in your life very early on. If you have to face that by yourself, you will resist. Most likely, you will be like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow is like, well, maybe I'll do it next week. I'm still going to be fine in 2 weeks. Nothing is going to change anyways. Instead of really hitting it face on, head on, and facing it. Just think about it, be honest with yourself, and see where you're at on that journey. Are you more afraid of losing something if you were to focus on deep healing? Or are you really embracing what is possible if you were to focus on healing, trusting and surrendering, and knowing that what you want to have in your life will still be there, but what is no longer serving you and what you do not want to have in your life will most likely go. And sometimes it hurts a little, like losing some friends, for example. But in most cases, it invites just something so much more amazing into your life that it's totally worth it. Just consider that, think about it, and if anyone is interested in some more deep healing, I am available, but I have some more appointments available for May if you're interested in some emotional clearing, some of the deep healing, or if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you would like to share a story, send me a message. You know how to reach me. If you want me a message on email, it's isabel@faithdrivensuccess.com. Send me a message. I try to respond usually within 48 hours. So just let me know. I hope this supported you and gave you something to ponder on, and maybe to be a little bit honest with yourself where you're at in your journey. I know a lot of the people who actually tuned in are at this point of embracing the what is next and what is possible. But I know it about myself. I mean, I've been doing this work for over 7 years, and there's still times where things come up where I'm like, oh, if I'm going to release that now, am I going to be on that stage with 1 million people in front of me? Or am I just comfortable with the stage with 10 people in front of me? Or maybe I just there's less judgment going on if I just have 10 people instead of 1,000, right? It's the little things. It's the little things that we need to think about and why we resist deep healing. Compassion, courage, surrender, and trust, so that we can heal and so that we can heal the collective consciousness as well.